Before you start the training, please download the Blippar app. It can either be put onto your Android or Apple device. In this training, we will be covering learning with Blippar and its relationship with mobile and augmented learning. In this training, we will be covering mobile learning, augmented reality, what is Blippar, how can Blippar be used to support mobile learning, and finally review Blippar and future possibilities of its use. Before we try to define mobile learning, let's look at a few characteristics, concepts, and framework of it. Personally, I think these do a better job of breaking down mobile learning. Collaborative. Whether you are referring to the device and the student, or with the student and the information, there is a collaboration that takes place. It definitely has to be interactive. Mobility of the learner and portable, being able to freely move around. Instant information. It should just be a few clicks away. Mobility of technology, blended, and finally, the one I think that is the most important is mobility of learning. It can happen at any place and at any time. Now, let's take a look at some of the ways mobile learning is defined. As you can see, it's defined in many ways, with the focus always being on the device and not necessarily the information. But to me, all these are missing a key piece of what I feel like mobile learning is. It's about more than having an ebook available online or just posting a simple video of a lecture or simply converting your course material over to a mobile format, having your HTML5 work. It's about more than that. For me, mobile learning is leveraging a mobile infrastructure to enable folks to learn wherever they are. Even though it may seem new, augmented reality has been around for quite some time. It had real-world application with the heads-up display in fighter jets. As you can see, symbols are projected onto a screen, allowing the pilot to be less distracted from looking at gauges and aim weapons better. Let's listen to Trek Lord, Head of Marketing and Media Relations for Matayo, describe augmented reality and the main point of it.
Augmented reality is the ability to insert and overlay digital and virtual information into the real world. Really, that's what augmented reality is about. It's about vision.
This is where augmented reality apps become very important and useful. They are helping to bridge the gap between leveraging the mobile infrastructure by inserting and overlaying digital information into the real world. All of these applications are good, but I found Blippar to be the easiest to use. Let's discuss it more. Not only does Blippar specialize in augmented reality, but also computer vision, with computer vision being a subfield of artificial intelligence, allowing it to focus on visual processing. The goal of computer vision is for computers to achieve human-like understanding of images. In order to enhance the world effectively and at scale with augmented reality, you have to first understand that reality is right in front of you. For this reason, computer vision is one of the core offerings of Blippar and why it is an essential part of the Blippar app. One of the first ways to incorporate Blip into learning is to simply start to blip. Now that you have downloaded the app, just aim and shoot and see what happens. Imagine if you're on a field trip with students and they want to learn more about a figure or a sculpture. Or if you're in a grocery store and you wanted to learn more about a product or an ingredient. Just aim and blip. As you can see, I blipped this tree. Once it recognized the blip, it gave me all this additional information. All I have to do is simply click on one of them and I get more information. The second way to incorporate Blippar is to use some of the already created Blippar for Education images. You may have to pause the video, but go ahead and blip this image. Remember, you may have to remove it around a little bit. If everything worked correctly, a volcano image should start to load. Once it's loaded, you will see a volcano erupting. Let's imagine you're teaching a lesson on volcanoes. The already created image provides a simple label activity. Once you clicked on the label, click on its appropriate location on the volcano. Hopefully, you can do better than me. In these images, you will see marker loss. This means I moved my camera away from the Blippar marker. As you can see, I didn't lose the image and can still do the activity. This wasn't the case for other apps I tried. Here's another one if you want to try. I'll give you a hint. The solar system will be all around you. Not only has Blippar created its own education blips, it's also teamed up with different organizations like BrainSpace to add another layer to learning. Now, let's take a look at building your own Blippar. For this demonstration, we'll be concentrating on Blip Builder. The first step in creating a Blippar is to go to the website and either sign up for an account or log in. So click on log in. And if you haven't signed up, you just click sign up for free and just fill in the necessary information. I've already done this, so I'm just going to go log in. Once you log in, your My Projects dashboard will show. This is a list of all your projects. You can think of these projects like main folders, with each folder having sub-projects. As you can see, I have about 3 main projects going, with each having subfolders in them. So this one has 4, this has 2, and this has 1. I'll click on this one over here. And here are the 4 blips that I'm working on. Now, let's go back and actually create one from the beginning. So I'm just going to click on this back button here so I can get back to my projects. Before we actually create one, my first piece of advice is to lay out what you want. Get your pictures together, get audio clips together, round up all your necessary items. Alright, so let's just say we have all of our necessary items together, all of our pictures we want to use, the videos, the links to different places online. So we're just going to click on Create Project. First thing we have to do is give it a name. Once you give it a name, do Create Project. Now it's time to create a blip. In order to do that, we first need to load an image. This is going to be known as our marker. This is actually what people will take a picture of or blip when they see it out. So before we do that, we'll have to give it a name. In this case, I'm going to call it John Deere. So we're going to add our blip or our marker. In this case, it accepted my marker, which is again the image that's going to be used to actually take a picture of, or a blip, excuse me. We're going to click next. Once loaded, you are on the Builder page. The first section I want to go over is this middle panel. This is actually where you're going to actually build your blip. As you can see, you have an image of your marker already displayed and a grid outline. You'll use this outline to help you place different items on your marker. Next, we'll move to the left panel. Here you'll see your catalog, basic shapes, and rich text. These shapes are available for you to drag and drop onto your marker as you see fit. If you don't like something, just click on it and hit delete. Next, let's move to widgets. Here, you'll see some additional things that you can drag and drop onto your marker. For example, YouTube. Once I drag the YouTube onto the marker, different options pop up on the right hand side. Again, if I don't want it, I just delete it. The next place is uploads. Here's where I will go to upload all the images or audio files I have that I want to put onto this marker. Let's start to work on our blip. When people take a picture of this blip, what do I want them to do? Maybe go out to the John Deere website and learn about the actual history of it. So on the Widgets tab, I'm going to grab Website and bring it up. As you can see, different options appear on the right hand side. Now, let's look at these options a little more closely on the right hand side. In this case, it wants me to put in a URL because I want it to go to a website. I'm actually going to put in the John Deere website here and just paste it in. Once I hit enter, it'll allow me to actually test my link. And as you can see, it opens up to the link I want it to. The next thing to do is to work on the label. Right now it's called website. Well, let's be a little bit more detailed about that. You can name it whatever you want. And once you hit enter, you can see it actually changes on the screen. The next option is around some fonts, and then also some colors. And then you start to get to the layout. Here you have the scale, which will determine how large or small your icon is. Additionally, you can move the object around by just simply clicking on it and dragging it. Let's say in addition to people going to the website, when they blip, I also want them to see a YouTube video. So I'm going to add a YouTube from the widget list. I'm going to fill out the information on the right hand side. First thing is I need to put my YouTube in there. So I'm going to copy it over. I already found it previously. I'm going to paste it in. Next thing, I'm going to call it 175 years. Well, actually, I'm not going to call it that because this is actually what people will see. So I'm going to call it history video. Yeah, so that is a tip. Make sure you name things which you actually want people to see. Now, I just put things up here, but let's say I want to move them around. Just grab them, and I can just place them anywhere I want to. Now, to see how they actually will look for people when they blip, you're going to use this preview button. And I can tell you that becomes very handy. So in this case, let's actually preview and see what it looks like. Once it's loaded, you can now test your blip. Before you blip, you 1, have to have the app. 2, you have to go into your settings and enter this code. For each blip project that you have, you'll also have a different code. So make sure that you change your code per blip project you are working on. Let's try it. Here is a snapshot of my blip. As you can see, I can see the John Deere history and the video. Again, it needs some work, but I've created a blip. Once you previewed, you can figure out whether you liked it or not. If you don't, just come back in and move things around. Or, if you don't like anything about it, take it off. Nothing is permanent because we haven't published it or made it go live yet. Let's go back to some of my other projects and review those. They have a little bit more detail that I can review. So I'm just going to go back. And I'm going to go back one more time. And then I'm going to click on Test. And then I'll click on As We Grow. As you can see, this is another blip that I've been working on. This one has a few more details than that other one, so I wanted to switch over to show you this. As you can see, I have a YouTube video, and I also have it going to a fun facts page that I put into here. I did this by creating different scenes. So down here at the bottom, there are different scenes or windows that can open up. So I have one for fun facts, and I have one for a video, and I can add more as needed. Essentially, when they click on fun facts, it'll take them to one page, and when they click on growing process, it'll take them to another page. Additionally, down here, you'll now see that there's a timeline. For each widget or catalog or upload that you add to your blip, it's known as it'll get an animation layer. So for this scene 1, when you first blip, I have a picture of alfalfa, I have a play audio going, I have a fun facts, and I have a growing process. I've laid these all out on my timeline, and I've actually put some motion effects in, which is off to the right. I have things fading in and fading out. So if we were to play this, this is what it looks like. Now, in this mode, the audio doesn't play, but when you preview, it will. So as you can see, the audio was there, but as it played, it faded out, and then the other options came up. Again, just imagine if you're blipping, and this is what you will see. The audio, and then you will get the picture of the growing process or fun facts. Now that we went over a few things The best advice I can give you is to just come in here, create an account, and try it out. There's nothing you can hurt by adding some images and previewing some things. It doesn't take much to just drag and drop and just figure out the tool. It's the best way to do it, actually. Here are my tips for building a blip. First, have an idea of the finished product. Either draw it out in your head or, kind of like this assignment, storyboard is an option. Already have the files you want to use gathered. It's much easier than going out and trying to find files or audio and like that. Lastly, preview. Don't be afraid to drag and drop things, resize shapes, but just preview it. It'll be your best friend. Remember, the key to blip is not putting a whole learning session into a blip. It's about leveraging the mobile infrastructure to support your learning. Let's review how you can leverage Blip right now. First, just Blip. Download the app and learn about the world around you. 2. Use Blip for education. These are those already created blips, like the volcano or the solar system. And finally, create your own blip with Blip Builder. Personally, I think Blippar is a cool way to interact with the environment around you. It's easy to just download and start blipping. It will take some practice, but building your own blip can take your learning to the next level. In summary, we review how mobile learning and augmented reality play a role within the learning domain. Additionally, I've introduced you to Blippar, an application that is helping to bridge the gap between mobile learning and augmented reality. I've given you 3 ways to start incorporating Blippar into your learning environment and provided you with some tips. Thank you for reviewing this training.